Hey Danielle, how you doing today? Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. How's your day been so far?
It's been going good.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so let the viewers know who you are, what you do, and why you do it, Danielle.
My name is Danielle Pooler, and I just recently got certified to be a relationship coach. And the reason why I want to do it is because I want to educate people on how to handle being in a relationship, how to handle different situations. Um, as far as me growing up, I lost trust in people at an early age, so I didn't know how to handle it. And I want to be someone who can teach people how to handle situations and become a better person for themselves. Pretty
Excellent,
much it.
excellent. Yeah, so when you look back on your journey, leading up to what you do now, what was that process like for you? Like to the point that you thought like this is actually what you want to do going forward. What was the aha moment that like this is the direction you want to go in?
Um, well, actually, I've always wanted to be single. I was in situationships. I knew that I didn't want nothing long term, so I kind of dealt with red flags until I was ready to be left alone. And then I met somebody, and he checked off all the boxes. I didn't really want to be in a serious relationship, but um, just meeting him, talking to him for the first time, we felt like we knew each other, we connected, and I just couldn't like hide my feelings anymore. So we have a great relationship. We got married, and that was my aha moment
Okay.
because I've always had this tough skin. Like, I'm not going to let nobody break down this wall. And then here he comes in, breaks the wall down, and the rest is history.
Excellent, excellent. So, like prior to your current relationship that, was a blessing for you, obviously looking back, you were saying that you was feeling like you didn't want a serious relationship and you wanted to be single. And when we look at that, like we've all had different struggles in previous relationships, and we've had to navigate through those to get to where we are now. So, what would you say some of your previous struggles have been in previous relationships, and how did you navigate through those to get to where you are now?
um, my main struggle would probably be trust issues. Like I said before, I lost trust in people in general at a very young age. And um, around 11 years old is like I had to deal with that. And by me being a child, I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have no one to talk to. I didn't have no one who was there to mentor me. So I kind of just grew up with this belief that, okay, I can't trust nobody. Um, and I have to be two or three steps ahead of someone. Um, so as far as relationships, I've always felt like, okay, yeah, they're out. They just want one thing, or they want um to use me. So I just felt like, well, let me use this person before I let them use me. And then I could just before or when I felt like they was gonna throw me away, I'd throw them away first. And I've always been like that from my 20s up until late 30s.
Right. Yeah, trust is a major thing, especially like if we're talking about our childhood and we feel like our trust has been betrayed, it can be very difficult to trust anybody going forward. So would you say like along the journey there was like nobody that showed any signs of being trustworthy, or was it just you blocking everything out, even if they might have been trustworthy?
Um, maybe I, I'm pretty sure I had people that were trustworthy, but I felt like if I couldn't trust family, then who could I trust?
Right.
So I know looking back that I blocked out people that I could actually trust or actually could go to for help or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that, maybe they've come out of a broken relationship or something like that, that they feel like they cannot trust people as well, going into a new relationship. Now, in your case, you've actually come across somebody that you were able to get into a relationship with, that you can build that trust with, but that's not the case for everybody. And similar to the situation you were in, some people are still in that situation where they cannot find someone that they can trust and they just like go about their day like that. What can you say to those people on how they can better improve their quality of life and to start regaining the ability to trust again?
Well, first, I think that they need to work on themselves as self-care, um, be with friends, do activities that they like, have fun. Um, Baggage, any type of baggage, you have to learn to just let that go. And I think most of the time, most Black people feel like that they don't need therapy, counselors, or nothing like that, but we do. And I think that relationship coaching, counseling, therapists would help um, with any of that, as far as learning to love yourself so you can love other people, letting go of all that baggage. Um, I actually had to see a therapist as well, which kind of helped me in my adult life. So I know that's a plus. But self love, self care, working on yourself, understanding what you want, what you need, being able to communicate with your partner what you want and what you need, be able to compromise. I think compromise is a big thing in a relationship as well.
Okay. Yeah, talk to me more about that. When you say a compromise in a relationship, what would you say were the core components of a compromise in a relationship?
Okay, I can give you an example of my husband and I. Um, we have set goals, financial goals, just like vacations, anything. Me and him have the same goal, but we have different ways of trying to reach that goal. So I think it's important for us, instead of bumping heads, trying to figure out which one is going to work, that we can compromise and use both of our ideas to reach our goal.
Right, for sure, for sure. Now, previously to that, you were mentioning like people not wanting to find therapy because they feel like they can do it by themselves and things like that, even though they're struggling with self-love. What would you say some of the blockages were in people that stops them from reaching out to people when they can't like necessarily do it themselves, but they don't recognize that blind spot and they kind of keep going with the pains that they have without reaching out for help. What would you say the blockages were, and how can they overcome those blockages?
I would think most people would be embarrassed, um, especially with men. Most men are taught not to show emotion. They're taught to just man up, deal with it at an early age. So they can't cry, they can't express their feelings. I think those are some issues, really basically how some people are raised. Um, in a Black home, I know most people there, they're taught like, okay, you're crying about something, okay, suck it up. This is a 3 or 4 year old, suck it up. You shouldn't cry. So I think that kind of stems from just your childhood, your background, and how you were raised.
Yeah, yeah, and some people they take that into their adulthood. Like for example, they'll immerse themselves in their work and just get stuck in, like because growing up they might have like felt like just to focus on what they can control is the best way forward for them, and it kind of blocks everything out. But some people, upon immersing themselves in their professional career, for example, they kind of lose touch with their kind of intimate side because they neglect it so much and focus so much on their career. And they don't know necessarily how they can bridge that gap again between their professional and personal life because their professional life has been so focused on and their personal life is now suffering so much. In your opinion, how can they start to bridge that gap again and to, for a woman, be in touch with her intimacy once again after focusing so heavily on her professional life?
I think that all would come down to seeing someone as far as like a counselor or therapist, because I was that person. I would work all the time, get as many hours as I could. Um, I was able to schedule my own hours. So if I wanted to see somebody, I would see them. And if I didn't, oh, I got to work. Oh, my schedule is busy. I have to work all this month. I don't have no days off. So I would always use that as an excuse. Um, and like I said, when I met my husband, um, all my baggage and stuff, it just everything, it's like he was the type of person, he was very understanding. I couldn't get that because I'm thinking, okay, he's too sweet. He's too nice. Why? You know. Um, so I kind of got busy, you know, and when he'll call me, because it was a long distance relationship at first, and when he would call me, I would ignore the call, be like, oh, I was busy, oh, I had to do this, I had to do that. Um, but me talking to my therapist, that actually helped. I really think, because a lot of people struggle with handling it, and they are stuck in their ways for so long that they don't know nothing different. So I think therapy, counseling, coaching is a major key in helping them overcome these obstacles.
Yeah, speaking about your husband a little bit, like it seems like a special situation in your life because, like, prior to that, like there wasn't much trust like that you was having towards people, and all of a sudden, when you met him, you was able to develop that trust. What is it that he portrayed that allowed you to that allowed you to have that trust in him, or would you say it was down to the therapy that you were having, or a combination, or what was that situation like?
Well, he showed vulnerability. I mean, he was. I actually, I really. It's hard to explain because I never trusted anyone. But when I met him and I spoke with him, I trusted him wholeheartedly. It was just like just an instant click. Um, and I've never done that before. So it was kind of weird to me. And I felt like I had to withdraw from him because I felt my walls coming down. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is different. I don't like it. And that's exactly what everybody wants. Like they want somebody they can trust and they can be with, that they can communicate with. But, by it being weird, it was like, I don't know. So I withdrew myself from him. And he's always, he would always ask me, hey, are you okay? What is it? Let's talk about it. That was, he always wanted to talk about situations. And I'm like, no, I just kind of don't want to talk. But um, with the therapy, and talking about how to express my feelings and communicate better, our relationship has been improving. um, he is an amazing man. He's always understanding. But I think he's just he was so authentic. That was the major thing with him.
Great, great, great. Now, like when we look like traditionally in relationships, there's been things like gender roles and things like that, where one person tends to lead in the relationship and the other person chooses to follow that lead in the relationship. What is your viewpoint on gender roles in relationships in terms that how do you feel about someone leading in a relationship and someone else choosing to follow, or do you feel like everybody should be like leading themselves independently and just co collaborating in a relationship, or what's your viewpoint on that situation?
Okay. So before, I was always the leader. I wore the pants. I controlled everything. I dated people. You can't come to my house. You can't know where I live. I can come see you. It's like it was a control thing for me. With my husband, I sit back and I submit to him. I let him lead. He can take advice from me. We can work together on ideas, but at the end, I let him make the decisions. That is something different for me as well because I have never been able to let anyone lead me. I'm actually writing a book, and one of the chapters is called "Submit to Your Man," and it's just explaining, um, the difference between, because when people hear submit, they just think control, and it's not about control. It's about allowing your man to lead, to handle situations with your advice, with your guidance, and to protect you and support you. And it's a whole different concept than what people, think it is. So, with my views on that, I think it's a good thing to let your man lead and handle business accordingly. So it's
Right, right, right. Now, coming from someone that, was always trying to like be in control, what was that transition like for you from like to being more submissive and allowing your man to take the lead in the relationship? What was that process like for you as a person, and how did you transition to being in that space?
well, I knew he was the type of person that could do it if I put him in that position to allow him to lead. But sometimes I felt like banging my head on the wall because it was like I just I'm not used to it. But I knew that he could do it. But I just had to sit back, bite my tongue, and just let him do it.
Right.
Not, overstep. It was difficult at first, but now it's like, just hand it over. Like, okay, this is what we got. What do you think? Never been a type to ask him his opinion on any, like a man, their opinion on anything. Because if it's something that I want to do, I'm going to do it. So
Right.
with him, I'm like, hey, what's your opinion on this? You think I should do this? What should I do? And it's actually less stressful than
Right. Right.
trying to control everything.
Right, right. Now, some people they look at these kind of gender roles within relationships, and they don't necessarily want to take the lead. They don't want to be led, and they're kind of fed up with the whole like dynamics of relationships in that kind of way. So they start looking at different dynamics of relationships. They start looking at things like non-monogamy and things like that, and they start feeling like maybe that's another way that they can express themselves within a relationship. So, what is your viewpoint on monogamy versus non-monogamy within that context?
You said monogamy.
Monogamy versus non-monogamy.
Um, well, to each his own. With me, monogamy. Period. That's it.
Right. So
um,
yeah.
so if that's what somebody choose, and both parties agree, then by all means, if you can make it work, make it work. But for me, that's that's not happening.
Right. So, like, some people, right, they're in a monogamous relationship already, but maybe one of the partners is curious about opening up the relationship, but they're worried that if they're going to voice that to their partner will react the way that you just responded and be like, no, this
Mhm.
is not for us. So they kind of suppress their desire to open up the relationship because of what they feel like their partner's going to react like. So, in your opinion, should they suppress that in order to continue their relationship, or does it have to be something that they need to speak about with their partner, regardless of the outcome?
I think it's something that they need to speak to their partner about, regardless of the outcome. And if it's something that they've already had a thought about like before the relationship, I think that it should be something that should be said in the beginning of the relationship as well.
Okay. So if they are going to speak to their partner about it, like in what way can they start to have that conversation without it being like a disastrous situation for them?
I think they should just ask, how do you feel about, monogamous relationships? How do you feel about um open relationships? And just leave it open to ask different questions, and then they can get a better response.
Right, right, right. Now,
Mhm.
like for couples that are like both monogamous, right? That's what they've both chosen to do going forward. But there's always some type of jealousy within the relationship from one partner, like always thinking that the other partner is maybe looking at other people or talking to other people, and there's always a sense of jealousy to the point that the partner that's been accused of things starts to get fed up of being accused. How can this situation be rectified, or how can they communicate about this? Like, how can the partner that's been accused communicate about the accusations, and how could a person that's always feeling jealous overcome this feeling of jealousy?
Mm, okay. You threw me a hard question here. Um, well, that goes back to communication and compromising. Um, I think they should have a discussion about it. If it's something that they both agreed upon, it should have been in the beginning a discussion about that part as far as being jealous and having a conversation about it. Um, I don't think they should put blame on each other. They should both just say, "Hey, I feel this is how I feel," um, and then go from there. Um, that's I can see a situation like that happening. So I think just communication will be, and that should be communicated in the beginning of the relationship as well, and how they, if that happens, how they would handle it.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, like communication is one thing because we try to like communicate, but then people have feelings, right? So sometimes,
Mhm.
like, even though something might have been communicated in the beginning, someone might still have these feelings of jealousy. Do you think there's a way for them that they can deal with it, like after the communication has happened and they're still feeling that kind of feeling?
I think as far as like with the communication, it also has to be trust as well. If you don't have trust in a relationship, then you're going to be doomed anyway.
Right.
So, you're just gonna have to trust your partner. Your partner has to reassure. I mean, I
No, reassurance
that's a
is definitely a key thing there that you mentioned for sure. Yeah. Was there
mhm.
anything else that you wanted to add to that?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. So sometimes like we were speaking about like jealousy and things like that, sometimes there's actually some truth to the reason why they're jealous. And sometimes someone has actually stepped out of the relationship and infidelity has happened, right? So in this situation where someone has stepped out of the relationship, they don't always communicate this with their partner and they kind of keep it to themselves. So sometimes they start to have this sense of guilt about what they've done in the relationship, like by stepping out, but they don't necessarily want to continue this feeling or this secret, keeping the secret. So they want to communicate what has happened to their partner. In what ways, in your opinion, can they communicate this incident of infidelity to their partner without necessarily destroying the relationship completely, if that's possible?
I guess it depends on the people. As far as me, if I were to step out and I feel guilty, I would just come out and I would just say it. Um, I'm a very straightforward person, so I would just come out and just say it and tell them, this is what I want. This is the reason why I told you. I don't want the relationship to end. What can we do to work on our relationship? I would tell them, express how I was feeling or why I was feeling the need to do that without putting the blame on the other person, um, and have a conversation. If therapy is needed, I'll be willing to go, you know, wherever I needed to go to restore our relationship.
Right, right.
That's how I.
Right, right. And on the for the other person who like has been cheated on, for example, like obviously their trust has been like broken because of this, and the partner's communicating and being honest with them about what's happened and wants to move on with their relationship. But how can they regain that trust within their partner when they feel like now it's been broken? But even though they want to believe in their partner and they appreciate their partner being open with them, they still have that kind of issue of trust. How can they start to overcome that, in your opinion?
Well, that's up to the partner that cheated. They're gonna have to to really show and prove, like, this is what I want. Um, and if you agree to trust this person again or stay with this person, um, y'all have to work together to build their trust. And any little thing, you cannot just say, "Oh, okay, you're cheating again," or "You're this or that." You can't keep putting that blame on that person. So if you agree to be with that person, you have to communicate and talk to them. And if you feel a certain type of way, you just express how you feel with no accusations.
Right, 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 right. Now, you speak to different people all the time. Like, by coaching them regarding their relationships. And different people have different issues that they come with. What would you say was like the main causes of things like anxiety in their relationship, or what's causing them anxiety from your experience and who the people you speak to that tends to come up that is common from your experience?
Okay, so like I said, I recently just started. I haven't started my business, but I have spoken with people during classes and stuff. And as far as the anxiety, with men, um, it's whether or not the person that they're with is using them or gold diggers or like that. As far as like women, I think most women have trust issues. Their anxiety comes from lack of trust
Right, right.
um, with the people that I have talked to.
Right. So you mentioned with men. So what about with women, in your opinion? Have you spoken with any women or like come across any situations where women go through any kind of anxiety as well?
As far as women, like I said, it's just the trust issues. I spoke with one woman. She had a little anxiety. She was always on edge because her partner had anger issues. He would get mad over every little thing. And this woman, she was in a smoothie shop, and the man made a scene, and he left. So she was crying, and I asked her, was she okay? And we talked, and she told me that what they did was she would pick a place for them to go out on a date with, and he would pay for it, and then he would pick a place, and she would pay for it. Well, she ended everywhere that she picked that he was supposed to pay. She ended up paying because he complained about the place. And she was always she said she was always nervous and anxious about choosing the right place to make him happy, when that really wasn't the case. It's just about dating, going out on the dates and having fun. You can have fun anywhere. So that was one situation where I could tell I mean, she was shaking, she was upset. He was like, basically said that date was stupid. He didn't want to be at no smoothie place. She tried to pick a place that was not expensive, because any other place he would complain about it, the cost, and make her pay for it. So she tried to find something that was simple, and he still complained. So I think that might be a situation, the anger issues, putting the blame on her, like she couldn't get nothing right. And she was like, so I asked her, I was like, well, what do you plan to do? And she said, I don't know. Maybe um, just let him pick the place from now on. And I was like, oh, you know,
Yeah. I
no.
mean, like that's definitely a kind of hard situation for someone to be in terms of like within a relationship. But obviously, you didn't get to sit down and really talk with this woman because that was a situation that happened on the spot. But if you was to actually sit down and talk to this woman, what do you think your advice would be to her?
Um, well, I would ask her, being with this person, does it make her happy? Because her happiness is important. Um, and if she was to say no, then I would suggest that maybe she should focus on herself and try to find something that's going to make her happy.
Right.
If she say yes, I would ask her why.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when we look at like brand new relationships, when people meet someone that's brand new, like kind of in your situation when you met your husband for the first time, people tend to like feel a lot of chemistry in the beginning and like they really want to immerse themselves in the relationship because they feel a lot of butterflies, right? But some
Mhm.
people, upon immersing themselves in this new relationship, they start to lose their sense of self in the process. So, how can people immerse themselves in a new relationship without necessarily losing their sense of self in the process?
Um, well, being transparent works. I think like in the beginning of the relationship, getting to know each other, I wouldn't suggest indulging yourself into the relationship all at once, but just getting to know each other, planning dates, different activities. I think that would help. Um, I know sometimes it is hard to, just sit back and relax, but I think being transparent, being open and honest, having conversations, um, as far as what you want in a relationship, what you need in a relationship, what you can give, what you can't give. I think those types of conversations should take place in the beginning.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So yeah, Danielle, like, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everything that you've shared. Where could people find you, find out more about you, and find out more about what you do?
Okay, well, I haven't set up anything yet, but I will create a Facebook page. My business, I'm just starting up, so it's called Desire to Love. So just be looking for that on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Excellent, excellent. And for the viewers, I will be putting the links to her socials there so you can contact Danielle and find out more about what she does. So, Danielle, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Any final words before we wrap up?
Oh, no.
Right, great. Thank you so much, Danielle.
All right. All right. Thank you.